Have you ever thought of having a grant in your business, using a grant to grow your business, but you just don't know what to do, you don't know where to go, you don't know what it entails? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're not alone. And we're here to help you tonight. Welcome everybody to Empowerment Point TV and welcome to Business Dining with Deb, where we help business owners with their topics, and we bring experts to business owners to give them the most updated information possible, which is really, really important in business. I'm going to introduce you very shortly to our wonderful guests that we have here. My name's Debbie Small and I'm the founder of Empowerment Point. So I just want to let you know that I have a track sheet over here to keep us on point and to make sure that we cover everything for you, because grants are really important, and I wanted to make sure we cover everything and we get it all out to you. You can watch our other episodes on YouTube as well, and please make sure you subscribe to our channel so that way you can keep updated with what's going on in our new videos that are coming out. And welcome to episode 8, Grants and R&D Grants to help you grow your business. And as you can see, we've tweaked our show, Business Dining with Deb. So usually I have these lovely people in my home and I host a dinner party, but with everything going on at the moment, this is the best way to do it. And we're still having fun and we're still having dinner, which is really good too. Our sponsor for tonight is the wonderful Ashley from Darla Geno's. Now, Darla Geno's is at 254 Glenira Road, Elstonwick. And their food is really good. It's really, really good. And they do deliveries and they do takeaways. So they're at www.dial-aginos.com.au, or you can also phone them on 03 95 300 800. That's 03 95 300 800. And, oh, hello. So what we have tonight from them, just to let you know, I'm going to bring it all up. I've got, hold on, beautiful garlic bread over here, which looks absolutely delicious. I have amazing nachos, which actually is delicious too. And my favorite pizza of all time, which is Hawaiian and mushrooms with spinach and feta cheese. Just to show you this, looks absolutely delicious and amazing. And I'm very picky with what I do. I'm very picky with who I have on my show, and I'm very picky with the pizzas I have. And Ashley does an amazing, amazing pizza. So we've also got a drink as well. And we also have chocolate mousse. So looking forward to the chocolate mousse as well. So thank you so much, Ashley and Darla Geno's, for that. I also have my good friend Nikki, who is virtually plugged in from her home, and she's looking at all your comments and she's looking at your questions as well. So we will go through comments and we will answer questions live. So if you do have any questions, please put it into the comments below on your Facebook, because we're live on Facebook at the moment as well. Later on we'll be on YouTube too. And that way we can answer your questions live for you straight away. Okay, I think it's time to start our dinner party. What do you say? Yay!
Hey, sounds good.
Okay, I want to introduce you to our amazing people we've got on board. So, firstly, Patricia Grosse. Hello.
Hi.
Patricia Grosse is the community entrepreneur. Pat has a wealth of knowledge about how grants work, having worked on both sides of the fence, both here in Australia and overseas. She's brought in millions of dollars worth of grants over the years for a whole range of organisations, both large and small, helping them turn their dreams into reality, which is really quite important. She is the founder of the Community Entrepreneur, helping businesses and non-profits turn their vision into reality. So hello again, Pat. We also have the wonderful Scott Amberley. Hello.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Many people assume that research happens only if you wear a white lab coat, but innovation is happening in businesses across every sector every day. You could be innovating without even realizing that you are. The problem that you tinkered with in a new way, or the hurdle you overcame for a client, is innovative. The government wants to encourage clever problem solving that grows the economy, so it makes research and development money available through the tax system. Scott helps businesses to access this Oz industry money. By asking curious questions, Scott learns about you and your business. And this helps him to identify the innovation and value of what you've done or created. Scott connects the dots, grasps the big picture, and can see the strategic pathway that's been hidden from view. He utilises this to help him and to help business owners generate the opportunities that drive their business growth. It is really all about opportunities, isn't it? Or with all businesses.
It's always.
Yeah. Through his former roles in law, grants and business development, Scott has been exposed to a range of sectors and scales of business. His work has always helped people to look and plan ahead. Scott is a people person who is also fully conversant in technical speak. He can support your business to navigate systems, processes and contracts and clearly articulate this. It gives Scott a buzz to collaborate and get things moving for his clients, and he loves helping business owners like you leverage what you do and continue to do it with more money in the bank and the breathing space to grow. Well, thank you for that, and welcome Scott as well.
Thank you.
Now, just before we start, this is a dinner party, just in a bit of a different, weird way. So, Pat, what have we got for dinner tonight?
Well, we're starting off with just the usual stuff, samosas and a couple of spring rolls.
Yum.
Yeah, well, I mean, where we come from, I mean, you know, the samosas come from Bradford in the UK.
Yeah.
A very, very strong Indian Pakistani community and excellent sort of exotic food. So this is a bit of a reminder from where we come from.
Yum, yum.
And then it seems like I've been prepared a banquet, but it's steak and veg. And and I know to finish, and this is all compliments of my husband, by the way, is finishing off with apple, plum, and pear pie, homemade.
Yum. I'm coming over for dinner.
There's plenty of it.
And Scott, what have we got tonight?
Starting off with samosas,
Yum.
and then
Okay.
actually, then it's going to be surprising what actually turns up a bit later. I've been told that there's things on the way, and I'm like, okay, so
Okay, so when they come to you, you have to stop and let us know what they are.
I'll do that.
Fantastic. And please, whilst we're talking, I find that sometimes on Zoom calls, people are scared to eat while they're actually like talking and where we're going through tonight. But this is a dinner party as well. So please make sure that you do eat and enjoy eating as well. Okay, so we're just going to go to my track sheet and let's start our beautiful, beautiful dinner party. Okay, so guys, and I think I've just answered the question as you've both taken a mouthful. That's all right. My first question to you both are, what are grants?
Okay. A grant, and I trying to sort of like people. Well, a grant, especially in the government, it can be state, local government, federal government. As examples, government grants. They are the funding mechanism by which a government policy is put into practice. Mm-hmm. And what I mean to say is the government comes up with this, you know, the way forward. You know, for instance, we're probably looking at opening up the economy and growing more jobs. So there'll be a policy statement about growing jobs. But for it to happen, the government can't do it all on its own. So it looks at the grassroots level of the organisations, the training organisations, the businesses, however it is that can help to grow jobs. And the money then, it comes down as, look, we've got this funding available. We want to achieve these outcomes. Can you help us? And we've got this money available. Usually it's contestable, which means you've got to apply for it. And the idea then is that you get the money and you do what you're doing. But at the end of the day, even when you're applying for the grant, it's not about what you want to do. It's about how you're going to help the funder achieve what they want to achieve.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yep, no, that's wonderful. Thank you for that, Pat. And Scott, what is a research and development grant?
Oz Industry and the Australian Tax Office support businesses by giving them a super tax deduction, which is 43.5% when they innovate, when they do something new, different, in a way that they develop what's called new knowledge. And the government essentially allows businesses to apply for. There's a bit of criteria. You have to be a company. You have to be an Australian company. You have to be doing new knowledge, innovation, and you need to spend over 20 grand doing it, which is the 20 grand's usually, it's pretty easy to find anybody actually doing this would have spent that money.
Okay, so you mean you have to have spent 20 grand in your business already?
20 grand over the year developing your idea. Okay. That would usually be wages. That can be, warehouse costs. It can be setup, materials. It can be whole stacks of different parts of that. We've had ones that have done it from manufacturing all the way to food to alcohol. It's finding the criteria. The hardest bit is usually a company. The company, a lot of businesses run through trusts and they're not eligible. Only companies are.
Okay. Okay. Before we go into the pros, what are the cons of having a grant or an R&D grant?
So for an R&D
grant, are there
any? Yeah. The cons for R&D is audit, because you're doing stuff with the ATO. That's probably the biggest.
So you just really need to keep your paperwork really strict.
Well, you should have your paperwork together in the first place. We can assist, but it's a business responsibility to make sure they have the paperwork. If you've done the R&D and you can prove it with an invoice, then you just keep your invoice for the next 7 years, the same as what you would do with anything else with tax.
Okay.
Not that this is tax advice at all.
No. And I just want to stipulate to everyone.
There's my disclaimer.
Yeah, that's all our disclaimer tonight. This is not tax advice. This is not financial advice. This is purely in regards to grants. Pat, what are some of the cons that you know of in regards to grants?
Well, it's not a con as so much as you've got to spend the money on what you've said you were going to spend the money on. Okay,
that's important. Definitely, yes.
Yeah. And you've got to, as Scott said, you've got to be able to prove it when requested. And it depends on what the grant is. Some grants say, can you send in receipts? Some, some will go to that level. Some will say, keep your records. Also, the bigger the grant, there is a level of scrutiny from the program managers. I'm not saying it's a con, but it can. I know I've had a couple of examples where it's going to be a little bit like Big Brother's watching you.
Right. But really, if you keep all your records right and everything else, then it's actually a pro to have a grant because it's actually going to help you grow your business.
And the other thing is, if you haven't planned it properly in your application, you haven't actually thought it through and what you said you're going to do, and then it turns out that it's not actually going to work, then there is the whole risk associated with that as well, and having to give the money back or get stopped or whatever it is.
Okay, go on, Scott, sorry.
Well, with record keeping, it's a better business practice in the first place. And you should be doing that business practice already to know where your business is spending money, what it's spending the money on, so that you yourself as a business owner know where's the money going, where's my profit. So just keeping those records is a good idea anyway.
Okay. So what do people, why do people look for grants?
They want some taxpayer money.
They want money.
They want money.
Yeah.
Money. Money's the best reason. Why are we in business? To make money?
You know what? There's really no further looking at that question. You've answered it.
No.
Money to be able to do what you need, Pat.
Yeah, they do need money for a purpose. So you could be looking for money because you want to improve your premises. You want to, add to your premises. So there's capital infrastructure funding available, machinery. It's to grow your business.
Okay. And because I know we're going to have some non-profits here as well. What would they be using grants for as well?
Oh, okay. Social, health, well-being, could be drought resilience. Certainly got a few clients in that area. It could be, addressing social disadvantage. It could be for the environment. It could be for sporting. It could be for radio. There's it's in lots and lots of sectors where funding is available, and so yes.
Okay, so let's have a look at when a business owner wants to look for a grant, what is the first things they need to do? So what is the first things to start to put a strategy in place? What do they need to do?
Well, we've got what's called, we're putting together a business case before you even start, because it might not be a grant that you need if you're a business. You'd be looking at, what your need is, but you'd be looking at the gaps in the market. You'll be looking at how you're going to deliver this program if you were to get the funding. And you would be, I'd say, do your homework first. See if is it innovative, is it new? Because lots of grants are about innovation.
Mm.
And once you've sort of addressed that and thought about, beforehand why you need this grant, and is it really a grant you need, or could you get the money elsewhere?
Okay, so just on that point, if they were to get the money elsewhere, where are other places that people can get money from?
Right, are you ready for this, Scott? I'm thinking you could get them from, there's loans, there's banks, investors.
Investors.
So you've got investors as in angel investors or joint venture investors or venture capital investors, yeah?
But if you're going to do any of those ones, you actually really need to have your records and your business plan in place. Look, the R&D grant really affects when you've got investors and you can say, look, we've applied for and got the R&D offset. Then as somebody investing, you actually know that they're creating new knowledge, and usually that comes with IP.
Okay, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well.
The other thing, can I just say, depending on the grant that you're looking for as well, if you're looking to do some capital infrastructure, there's things you need to have in place before you even start, and that is, first of all, you need to have tenure on the land or property. If you don't own it, then you need to have probably evidence of a lease for 5 or 10 years, depending on what that is. You probably need to have permits in place. I've just been finishing some grants in the aged care sector, and we've needed to have external business analyses. So depending on what you're looking for, sometimes it's just maybe you just need your accounts for the last 2 to 3 years, or at very least the first year. And I do come across that a few times where the business is quite new. And so, well, first of all, I ask them to check to see if they can still apply for this grant. And if they can, it's usually, well, let's present your accounts for the number of months that you've been in business. So, as I said, there's a few things depending on the grant that you need to be aware of and to have that ready in time to be able to submit an application.
Okay, so as we're talking in regards to capital infrastructure at the moment, also too, you're going to need to have your insurances up to date as well, and make sure of what insurances you're actually needing, because you know they're your general insurances, but there's also other insurances too that you might need along with that. Is there anything else that we need to make sure to look at with the capital infrastructure?
Architects' diagrams, documents. There are some financial costs that you probably need to provide evidence that you've already done in the planning phase.
Okay.
Just off the top of my head.
No, that's all right.
The plans.
Now, across the board, doesn't matter whether it's in infrastructure or it isn't, we're also needing to make sure to put into our grant application in regards to our logistics and our resources. So what do we need to make sure to look at when it comes to logistics and resources?
Capability.
Right.
And I can say, yeah, for just about every grant there is, that they will be asking your capability to manage their money.
Right.
So, and usually I sort of have a bit of formula here, because you've got to show that it's got top level oversight. You got to show that you've got the professional expertise within the organisation, and if that's managing the project, and the technical skills. And if you don't have, or if there's a gap, maybe how you're contracting that in, and it might actually be part of the budget. You'd be looking at the fact that you might have done a risk plan. That will tick a few boxes. You say, you know, we do confirming the project plan, we're doing a risk plan. We might even do it, if it's a bigger project, you might be talking about a communication plan.
So in regards to a risk analysis, Scott, in a research and development grant, what types of risk analysis would you be looking at there?
Well, really, we want to be looking at, are they overcoming? Is there a problem in the business that's being overcome by money being spent on that on that problem to solve it? So, you know, for instance, there was one where a guy was trying to put a snowmobile and a cherry picker together. So, you know,
interesting.
Yeah, it was, you know, specific problem, specific engineering problem trying to solve. The problem is, you know, with the R&D, it's, you know, identifying you actually have a problem that we're going to try and overcome, and that you've spent the money doing that. But it really is, you know, what new knowledge, why, you know, could you look on YouTube or, you know, Google and find the answer straight away without having to reinvent the wheel in your business? But if you've had to reinvent or invent something that hasn't been done somewhere else before, then, you know, usually, classically, it's businesses then going, okay, well, we ran into a problem that only we could solve because only we had the problem. But then you go, okay, well, if you've solved that problem, will that then assist other businesses, or can you commercialize that? Can you then sell that? Is that new knowledge? Where does that fit? And so that's how the R&D grant can fit, you know. But really, it's a business going, we ran into a problem, we don't know how to fix it, and then we've spent money fixing it or, you know, sorting it out.
Do you find that there are many businesses out there who are actually doing things already and they don't actually realise that they can have a research and development grant for what they're doing?
Yes, yeah, all the time. That's usually the number one. You know, I walked into an expo last year and I walked up to a guy and said, hey, that looks really unique. How did you do that? I've never seen that before. And he goes, well, it's because nobody else has ever done it. And I went, have you applied the R&D offset to that? And he goes, what do you mean? And then, you know, we got him on as a client, but really it was him being able to go, why didn't anybody tell me about this? Doesn't the government tell me that I can get this? I'm like, no, it's not really the government's, because it's self-assessment. You should be able to just look out for yourself. The problem is, really, business owners are busy doing their own business. They're not going, oh, they didn't realize that what they overcome and spent money on doing was, was new knowledge, as the government calls it, and they can apply this super tax deduction against it.
So what does innovation mean when it comes to R&D grants? So what things would they be doing that they may not realise this is actually making a difference, and this is considered R&D, or for a grant, I should say?
Well, with the R&D, the offset, it is really broad. It is extraordinarily broad. If you've tried to invent a new kind of product, food, something that somebody else hasn't done, or
AI.
you're trying to do it, or AI in software, you're doing a new type of software. I mean, that's a website or an app doesn't count. No, not at all. But if you're doing a whole stack of machine learning behind that, and you've got to write a whole stack of code that's then going to track that, well, yeah, that can be. And I say can be, you've got to look quite specific at what you're trying to overcome, what the problem is, and is it a unique problem? Can you commercialize it? Because the government's interested in helping you, but they're not giving a free kick to everybody.
And then you can take that to the next level because there's the accelerating commercialisation grants.
Yeah, yep. And accelerated commercialisation grants are awesome to be able to then take that R&D to a next level. And there's quite a lot of money there that Pat will be able to tell you.
Okay. So if I've seen a grant or I want to look at a grant and I have an objective I want to achieve and I'm doing the pre-work, is there anything else? Like, we had a look at what's your objective. We had a look at, you need to look at logistics, resources. What other things do we need to make sure that to look at in our pre-work to getting a grant? Did you just get food there or something, Scott?
I did.
What did you get?
It's a lasagna with capsicum and shredded carrot.
Oh, wow. That sounds absolutely delicious. Can you show us?
Maybe not. With the background thing, it doesn't really work.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Look,
it looks divine, though.
Yum. Enjoy.
Look, I'd jump in there and I'd say to you, it doesn't matter whether you're a business, a not-for-profit, or whatever. If once you find there's a grant and you think, oh, you before you do anything, and Scott's already sort of touched on this in a way, is make sure that you're actually eligible to apply for that grant.
And how do you do that?
You talk to us. You give Pat a call or you give me a call and you talk to us. You communicate with us and we can really quickly, very quickly, probably identify. I can do it in a 5-minute call to say, yep, yeah, I believe you're doing R&D. Give me a call and we can sort it out. And then you can take it from there. And I've got NDAs on my NDAs. People have told me some absolutely mind-boggling, incredible stuff that Australia is doing first world that nobody else has even thought of.
And I have to tell you guys, just before you go on, Pat, I just have to tell you guys that I'm very picky with who I choose to be the experts on our show here. And both of these people, Pat and Scott, are amazing at what they do. And really, for us to go through all the grant stuff and like, what do we need? And if we're even eligible to do it, it would just be mind-boggling. But these guys can do it quite quickly for you too. They're absolutely amazing. Sorry, Pat, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, it's a bit easier generically across the grants. It does get complicated when it goes down to R&D and the export market development grants. Another one where it can get a bit complicated is one of the very first things that you will find in the guidelines, and sometimes even on the web page, is a list of what kind of entities are eligible. And that's if you're a straightforward Pty Limited, or then you can, and it says, you've got to be, incorporated by corporations act, whatever, then usually that fits. But as Scott says, sometimes it does sound a bit confusing and you say, well, is this us? So, give people like ourselves a call. Go on.
Sorry, we've even been able to assist businesses who are developing a whole new product. It's like they do one thing, they've realized that there's a gap in the market doing this other thing, and then because the way they're already structured, we've been able to assist them. We get the right advice in for them to be able to be eligible for the R&D, and then move everything to that, and essentially create a new research division within their existing structure, new structure, under all the right advice, to be able to then go, okay, well, we've got something. It's got its own IP. We're going to sell it, and develop it in that point of going, this is so good that we could probably sell the entire company to such and such or another bigger company purely because of what we're developing.
Wow, that's really exciting. Something really different too.
And you'd be surprised how much IP is actually worth.
So tell me more about the IP. What intellectual property do they need to look at?
Well, with intellectual property, R&D comes hand in hand with that. Well, if you're developing something, you may be developing the new knowledge criteria within the Oz industry.
Does that mean you need to do a patent as well?
No.
No.
You probably should be talking to an IP lawyer.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into IP law, but IP lawyers are really good in that area. I've got a couple of really good ones that I refer clients that we can go, oh, what you've got here is really clever. Well, you probably should put some IP law, intellectual property law around it to protect it and yourself moving forward.
Okay.
And, the guys I know are really good.
Okay.
And there are many grants out there where IP doesn't even come into it. Yeah.
So I think it's more maybe some of the R&D, but with the grants that you do, Pat, that's really about, from what I can see, it's about, are there things in your business that you're doing that can make a positive difference to others?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I usually say with business, if it can create jobs, increase the economy, sell Australia to the world, then you're in with a good chance.
Fantastic. And there are so many people too, and so many people we know that are doing amazing things, covering all of that they really need to have a look at and see if there are grants available that can help them, especially now being before the end of the financial year at the moment, and that governments are wanting to get the economy going and get businesses going as well.
Yeah.
So
Well, the other one on IP, if you're actually talking to an IP lawyer, you probably should be talking to an R&D consultant.
Okay, fair enough. So what are the things that, once we have, how long does a grant usually take to get ticked off that you've got it? You've sent in the paperwork? Is it how long's a piece of string? Or have I gone old and grey?
Well, I think we can say with surety, most of the time, in the guidelines, there is a time frame. So
is everything a lot quicker now, are you finding that things are getting ticked a lot quicker at the moment? No, okay.
No, some are even on hold.
No. Look, with generally, I will start in July, and we started with several clients in July. Well, last year, we just finished.
Okay. Oh, wow. Sorry. I'm just like, to me, with the grants, it's about, helping businesses grow. So, taking so long to to actually get it across the line just seems a little crazy to me.
Oh, it's over. I mean, it's not like I need you full time. It's like an hour or two.
No,
maybe
you guys.
an hour.
No, I'm not talking you guys. I'm talking the hoops that people have to go through to get it ticked off.
Well,
you've got to be mindful.
Clear.
You've got to be mindful, because I've worked on that side of the fence as well. You've got to be mindful that there's a whole a clear process that has to go through, which will include an assessment panel of independent sort of people who will be, and then there's the moderation process, and then it's to be ticked off by that department, and then at some level, at ministerial level, it's got to be approved. So there's a whole government process to make sure that everything is clean and above board.
And I guess that's fair enough too, because they're giving money to help a business help others.
Yes.
Okay. So just say we've got the grant, it's ticked off now. What do we have to do during the grant to make sure that we're keeping above board?
Deliver.
Fair enough.
No, I think what you would do is there would be, in the agreement, there would be some milestones and some reporting milestones that you would have to report back, maybe using the templates that they give you, and you'll be reporting against the milestones that you put in the application, the outputs, your progress to achieving the outcomes of the application, and obviously you need to be monitoring and making sure that, like any project management process, that you're staying on time, on budget, and on specification.
Is it monthly reporting?
No. You would be monthly reporting internally, but you may have to report once or twice, depending on the size of the grant and the time frame of the grant.
Okay. Sorry, Scott, you were going to say something as well?
Then I've opened my mouth. With the R&D offset, once it's registered with Oz Industry, you put the paperwork in with the ATO. All you're doing is generally waiting for the cash to return. So, for instance, one of mine, they ran at a loss. So they were going to have to do a carry forward 30 grand. So that's their loss. We turned it into a $45,000 cash.
Oh, wow.
So instead of having a loss on paper that they might be able to carry forward, we turned it into $45,000 in cash, like that's been deposited in their bank account from the ATO.
Well done. Well done.
So that's the difference. That's the difference it can make. And I can tell you right now, they are so happy because they've got cash to be able to do things that they wanted to do.
Yeah, it makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
And this is a business that's less than a year old.
Okay.
That's good. The other thing is, be mindful of that you can't start the application until you get till the agreement is in place. So if you want to do something and you start before the agreement start date, that's ineligible expenditure.
So you've got to wait. So if it takes a year, if it takes 12 months to get it approved, you're going to wait 12 months before you start doing what you want to do. Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's very rare for it to be 12 months, but
okay.
I'm the opposite. You started your problem in July 2018 and I can get you money for it now.
Okay. And that's through taxes?
Yeah, your business, you spent money.
Okay, so it's really important now for businesses to have a look what they're doing, how they're doing it, where they feel they may be innovating as well, and to really speak to you guys and find out, you know, am I doing something that is going to help me tax-wise? Because we're at the end of the financial year.
That's right. More likely than not, they've done it and they don't even realise.
Yeah, yeah.
What we're finding is, you know, in Dad's business, Dad was doing it and Dad's been doing it for the last 50 years. And now the son's working in the business going, hey, by the way, I think we can get we can apply for this. And I go, well, yeah, you probably could over the last 50 years, or sorry, since 1983, you could have been applying for this because you've done all these hundreds of different innovations, world-breaking stuff, and you didn't even realise it because
Can they backdate anything?
No, July 1, 2018.
Okay.
That's until September. And
No. When I meant backdate, if they were doing it since July 2018, but just say they just found out now that they're doing it, can they backdate tax?
Last 12 months.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, that's why one of them, you know, sorry, there's probably millions of dollars they could have applied the offset against.
So really, it's worth doing it on a yearly basis as well.
Oh well, we year on year. A single project can go over 5 years, but more likely what happens is businesses then realise, oh, yeah, we just got $80,000, or one of mine, hey, we just got, just over $1 million. So now we're going to do this. And, they decide, okay, well, instead of building that research lab in a different country, we're going to do it in Melbourne now.
Okay. So then
because they know, yeah. And so all of a sudden that then creates 2 or 3 jobs here, which they, but that's what the government's there trying to support. They didn't, but nobody told them that it was available, so they didn't do it. And now all of a sudden they know it's available. They know how it works, and now all of a sudden it works better for them.
Okay. Now, just before we continue, thanks for that, Scott. Just before we continue, I just want to say if I can get Nikki back on to have a look if we've got any questions at the moment. And guys, if you do have questions, please ask, because these guys are absolute gurus at what they do. And you've got them right here in the palm of your hand to be able to ask questions. So please make sure that you do. Now,
as long as I don't have a mouthful of food, it's all good.
It sounds absolutely beautiful too. Okay, so I don't think I have you on, Nikki, if you can hear me. Okay. Let me just have a look. Okay. I thought that I put her, okay, here we go. I thought that I'd put her on hold in the waiting room, but maybe I just can't find my, oh no, here we go, it's all good. Okay, I am joining you now. Nikki, can you hear me?
Oh. I can. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
You hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Tell me, Nikki, are there any comments or any questions or anything that we have?
Not at this stage. There are no questions or comments at this point.
Fantastic.
But I will keep you posted.
Thank you so much. You enjoying your pizza?
Oh, I've finished the whole thing.
How was the chocolate mousse?
I'm waiting a little bit of a while before I tuck into that one.
Fair enough. It's really delicious.
Yeah, I know it's got that caramel at the bottom, which is my favourite part. Yeah.
Yum. All right, Del, thank you for that. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. Thank you so much.
Worries. All right. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Okay. Beautiful. We're all back now. Okay. So what I wanted to also talk about, when we talk about the paperwork needed, I wrote a bit of a list last time that we chatted, just to make sure people are aware of things they need. So we talked about a business case, so evidence of what they need. Profit and loss statement as well, profit and loss statements as well, so because they're needing data. Business analysis, which Pat, you spoke about as well a bit earlier. Business case reports, so they have a good plan in place, so they can have a look at that too. They need to know who's involved, so whether it's partnerships and who it impacts as well. They also need to monitor and also know how they're going to monitor what they're actually doing to be able to give the right information to the right departments as well. So that's really important. Reduced risks. I wanted to ask, what risks should they be looking for if we're going to do a risk analysis or we're going to make sure our risks are really reduced?
Okay, some of the simplest risks, again, I'm being very generic because the risks are in relation to the project. So if it was capital infrastructure, you would have things like not being able to raise the capital after all. That could be a risk, because you have levels of high, medium, low risk. And low risk, you might think, oh, the project manager leaves, or the whoever's championing this leave, oh, this is a low risk. But you know very well, if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's actually, the likelihood of it happening is low, but the impact of it happening is high. So what would you do if you were really, really good at managing something like this? You would make sure, even though you fully trust this person, that you make sure that they've got regular reporting happening, so that if they were to leave, you could pick it up and run it with somebody else. So it's usually things like people. And it doesn't matter, I mentioned infrastructure, it can be anything. I mean, running any program, the key people leave, you overspend, the time frame, you're not achieving the outcomes, people are not interested, there isn't a need for your project or activity after all. These are just some in sort of generically. What about you, Scott? What are the risks that you come across?
Well, since we're doing most things retrospectively, most of those risks are already been done. I mean, if somebody left that was championing the R&D, sometimes that could be good for us because they go to another company that then they put in program in place there. But if they left, you're talking to multiple. We're talking to multiple parts of a business. Where if it's if it's a single business owner, they're probably not going to leave. But you're still talking the accountants, GMs, CFOs, CEOs, all the C-level people that you need to deal with. So even if one of them left, they'll just be putting somebody else in the spot that then you would be educating them of this is what we're doing. And it always goes from the top anyway, because the CEO's got bought in purely because he realizes, hey, we can, this can help us move forward. And there's a competitive advantage in doing R&D because you're developing IP that you can recognize. You're telling both, parts of your own business and other businesses that you're more competitive because you're getting the R&D offset. And those ones that are not, it's not that they're not as competitive, but they're getting left behind because Joe Blow around the corner is getting it. You're not, because you didn't know it was available or you didn't realize that you were doing it and you couldn't get the money. But they're getting more cash to be able to spend in their business, to be able to do things that are risky. Like I said before, putting a snowmobile on cherry picker on a snowmobile is a crazy risky project for an engineering company to try and want to do. But if it works, there's a huge competitive advantage to that. And, if the alcohol producer around the corner, the brewery or distillery, is developing a new kind of product and they get $80,000 back from the government, I tell you, some of that they spend on marketing. Some of that they spend on developing a new product, which again leads them to be more competitive than you because you didn't apply.
And in some industries at the moment, competition is quite high as well, so it's nice to have a competitive edge. Yeah, sorry, Pat.
Yeah, there's another way of looking at risk, and that is, remember I was saying that it's these people here, the funder wants a result, and you're coming forward and saying we can help you get that result. If you think about that, when you're actually filling out the application form for the grant, many of those questions are set up to reduce the risk. So when they ask the question about, what's the need, they're saying that there's a need, therefore you're reducing that risk. The planning of the project, so that you know what you're doing, that's going to reduce that risk to them. The people involved in the project, that's going to reduce that risk to them. Yeah. Et cetera, et cetera. So, when you're filling out all these questions and they seem quite onerous, the key person, a secondary person to contact, all these sort of questions that you think are quite sort of a bit intrusive, but they're not. They're there to reduce the risk.
So really it'd be a great idea to sit down once a month and make sure that, your paperwork is fine, you're doing a risk analysis, your risk is quite low as well, because if something comes up, you can fix it straight away rather than to wait until months after when you're audited and you can't fix it straight away as well. So a monthly audit of yourself in regards to the grant is a really good idea too.
Well, with the R&D, you look back a year at a post to your last financial year, you apply the R&D grant, but what we're finding is owners don't really get it until they're doing it the second year. Then they go, oh, I really do have to take note of, I did spend 5 hours on that project today, and then they take note of that, and then we can apply that against. So then they become really quiet. They realize that there's substantial amount of money in this, doing it right. So then all of a sudden the record keeping the second year tends to be better than it was in the first year. But we're for us, we won't be able to apply as stringent because you didn't have the records. So, sorry, you can't make it up. You can't go back and go, oh yeah, I spent a week doing that. Really? Are you sure? You better be able to stand on that with an audit, because otherwise don't. Records become a lot easier to manage the second year around, purely because business owners understand. But we assist with the first year to be able to go, okay, well, let's apply this, this, and this, because it's easy to be able to find. Yeah, you spent a whole stack of money on materials or, machinery. Yep, that's easy to identify. There's depreciation, easy to identify. Okay. Things that are easy to identify, pick up. Things that are harder, will just, there's no grey. There's only black or white.
We talk about R&D grants in regards to, in that respect, manufacturing or different companies like that. However, we can also do R&D grants within the professional services industry as well. Yes?
Yes. I'll say yes, definitively.
Right.
You've still got to match the criteria.
Okay. So what examples do you have of professional services that have done R&D grants?
Financial services.
Right.
I won't go into more specific. I've got NDAs on my NDAs. But, there's financial services businesses, there's franchising businesses that have developed, quite new ways of doing stuff. Yeah. That everybody that, if their competitors knew that they were doing it and getting an R&D grant for it, they'd be like, oh, wow, you did do that, that's innovation. And that then gets them in front. It is a scope is available. You've still got to match the criteria. It's got to be new knowledge. Okay. And you've got to be able to stand behind that. But I'm always surprised by how much there is out there that people don't even realise. So it comes back to, is it worth a 5-minute call? Probably.
That's the whole reason that I decided to do the show with you guys as well. And we will, before we finish tonight, we will talk about what grants and R&D grants might be available to people that they can actually start looking at right now as well. With the paperwork as well, so they also need to demonstrate value for money and ROI, return on investment, obviously. Now, we talked about this and I just wasn't sure that with a grant, should you be looking for money elsewhere first, or would you look for a grant first? Or really you should be looking somewhere else first and then go there? Or have both?
Both. First of all, if you compare grant for grant, you can't apply for a grant here if that funding is actually a priority of a grant over here. That's the first thing I know you should be aware of.
Sorry, can you say that again? Sorry, just to clarify.
There are certain government departments that fund certain grants. And if you've got an idea on this government department over here, it could be government, it could be, usually government. And they say, we won't fund the grants that are the responsibility of another government department. So you might have an idea, and I came, in my job, I came across this quite a bit when we'd get applications for this, and we look at this application and go, actually, this fits with another government department altogether, so we wouldn't look at it. Okay. So there is that.
With the R&D, the research and development offset, we've been able to secure grants that have then funded more R&D. So
both sides.
So with a grant, you've got to pay tax on it. You get federal government money or state government money, you've got to pay tax on that money. But if you're using that to further develop your idea, innovation, fix your problem within your business, then we've seen one that's purely been 100% of the grant was applied into the R&D.
Well,
It's
it's
a lot.
funny. It's funny you mentioned that. My next question of what are the tax implications? Are there
I'm
any
not
other?
I'm not a tax accountant, so I'm not giving tax advice.
No, that's okay. But okay, so not tax implications as in giving tax advice, but what questions should they ask their tax advisor?
Their tax advisor, and I'll be honest, I get a lot of referrals from accountants, purely because the accountant thinks, hey, these guys are doing something pretty clever. I wonder. And then I'm working with multiple accountants right now with their clients, doing JVs with them to be able to get the R&D through. So, accountants, have the inside running to be able to be the advisor, and to be able to say, hey, we've overcome this problem, and the accountant can go, oh, maybe there might be R&D in that. So I get a call from the accountant going, does this sound like R&D? And I go, if it sounds like R&D to you, it probably is. So then I'll then talk to their client with them, do a Zoom or something, and go through it and go, yeah. And of all the ones that I've been sent, all of them are R&D.
Oh, fantastic. That
So,
would have helped a lot of people out.
Well, it makes the accountant look good in front of the business owner. And for the business, then for our point of view, all the tax advice, all the numbers stuff is all dealt with in the accountant's side. We're dealing with all the words and the client to be able to get all the information out of them for them to be able to put it all together.
Everyone's working as a team.
Everyone works as a team. It works a lot smoothly, and the client, they can get huge wins out of this. We're not talking hundreds of dollars. You're talking thousands, tens of thousands, or even into the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So with the grants, and I know, Pat, the grants differ between states and they differ between municipalities as well. Say that fast 10 times. But it varies between all of those, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So you really have to look at your part, because I know there were some grants happening in Melbourne, but they were for Melbourne City that they were happening, so not our area. So
Yes.
with the industries for, I'll go with R&D, and then we'll have a look at with Pat as well. The 8 industry areas for R&D: defence technologies,
Yep.
transport technologies,
Yep.
new energy technology, construction technology, international education, medical technology, food and fibre, so manufacturing and hemp, and professional services.
Yep.
So I got that right?
Yeah, and anything to do with really food is probably one of the food and manufacturing the easiest to find.
Okay, fantastic.
But really, there's, like you said, it's across all 8 of those. And if any business is doing any part of their business is doing any part of that, then have a chat to me.
So R&D grants are really about not what's out there, but what are you doing that's innovative and that we can actually help you tax-wise as well, and we can help you to get the money to do it.
Did you spend money in your business trying to solve a problem?
Okay, probably that's the most beautiful way to say it as well.
That is the simplest way I've been able to identify this.
And are you solving it differently to other people, to your competitors?
Yeah. Did you had to come up with a new way? Did the machine you buy didn't work the way you wanted it to? You had to completely change it. Did you invent a whole new process trying to do that? Is the product itself different? So the machinery you're wanting to buy, you're trying to get, it's classic square peg, round hole, get the machine to do what you wanted to do. And in doing that, did you create new knowledge?
Or as a professional services, you're creating new knowledge by what you're doing as well.
Yeah, by what you're doing. And then it's how you're applying that. Are you doing something different? Have you got, the other one is, even business owners have talked to me right at the infancy, which is, Pat's talked about. We're thinking about doing this. Would the R&D offset apply in this circumstance? Yes, it would.
Great.
And then you go, you're developing all the IP. Are you wanting to sell that? Oh, then then maybe putting a whole different, company together to commercialize that, because then you throw Pat into the other side, and then you commercialize that, and all of a sudden you've got $100 million company that you can then sell, and it's still, you're still doing your thing with your little business or your service. That you've got this other thing over here that's, all of a sudden done really well. And that happens. That happens a lot. And it comes from an idea. Somebody has an idea or a problem. I solved a problem, spent money fixing it. And that spending money can be just your time. You're being paid wages. That's your time. That's
okay.
money.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. And Pat, with the grants that you do, it's really about what the government is offering at the time. Is that correct? Yes.
Well, it's not about. I mean, it's not about what the government's offering at the time. Do you need to fit in with what the government's offering at the time? It's about the policy direction.
Okay.
But on that, Pat, companies can make up government policy. Do a market-led proposal, and they can make up government policy, and all of a sudden there's a policy for that, and then there's government money, and then you apply for the tender that you created.
I like it. It's nice and holistic as well. That's for sure. Pat, what grants are available at the moment that people can have a look at?
Well, it depends who they are. What we're finding coming through at the moment, I've noticed many of the grants have closed down. I don't know if you've noticed that, Scott.
Yes.
Yeah, many of them have closed down.
Is there a reason they've closed down, or they're going to restart in July, or?
There's a pandemic.
There's a pandemic, plus the fact that...
So doesn't that mean we need more grants now than ever?
There will be. I'm guessing there will be. The government, all levels of government is going to have to spend money to keep the wheels turning.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what's happening? Yeah, what I'm seeing coming through. First of all, we had that. Well, I was really surprised actually when the pandemic hit. I was thinking, the grants are going to stop. No, that didn't happen at all. In fact, I've been busier in some respects. And especially in the government area, there are some good grants. I mean, the aged care industry, they're covered.
So what have we got? What have we got available? So can you talk a bit closer to the microphone, Pat? You're sounding a bit far.
Is that better?
Yeah. So what grants do we have available that people can actually have a look at? I know you sent me one today as well.
Yeah, I sent you one today. I think that when we talked about the COVID-19 grants, and there were initially there were the grants to support you into hibernation, the best way to put it. Now I've noticed that grants are starting to come out of it. And they tend to be a little bit, the few that I've seen are more technology focused, or to get you the equipment to go online, etc., to start you up again. So I think there's a recognition there that, in this, let's help people by giving them more infrastructure, more capital, more equipment, more equipment and stuff like that. The one I just sent you through this afternoon from your local government area.
Yeah.
If you notice, that was to do more, with more getting you online and the equipment you need to do that. Yeah. There is, I've just seen some multicultural media grants, and again, that was tended to be focused towards the equipment that you need to be able to boost your communication to your community. So I'm trying to say to you that was, two examples. One was the business area, the other was the community area. So there seems to be some correlation of grants coming out now, which are trying to look at the crystal ball and saying, what do people need? More people need to go online, so let's give them some support to go online.
Okay.
So I said they want to give the money away, but I say give the money, they never give the money away, but they want to make the money available, but there has to be some outcome for it. So it's got to be showing that there's change. A grant is about change. It's got there's a project in the middle of that. It's got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and there's a result at the end of it.
Okay.
Some of the standard grants are still around, like the R&D, the accelerating commercialization, which we just mentioned. Some of the EMDG, Export Market Development Grant.
Right.
So the standard ones are still there. They're still going.
And what grants are available for not-for-profits at the moment?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've seen some put as even the results of applications from last year. Some of them have been put on hold. So where they were expecting to have results in March, I've seen we can't make a decision till the end of June. So there is those grants happening, but also I've just put a grant application in for it was Feed Melbourne. So it was to do with the relief for food relief organisations and stuff like that. So there's still grants going. As I said, I've just been working with the aged care facilities, because they're coming out of the aged care commission, Royal Commission. There's been funding made available to build the capacity of aged care centres. There is again, they're being covered for COVID-19 just in case something happens.
Yeah.
Then funding will flow to those organisations. So there are some preventative grants out there. There are still, as I said, there's still quite a lot of grants out there, but not something that I can depend on saying, oh, that's going to open next week.
Yeah. And you never... Sorry, Scott, go on.
The R&D one's available all the time. Literally, so it doesn't matter what state, territory, Norfolk Island you're in, it works for you. And it's been available since 1983. So while there's changes afoot to it, those changes are at the really top end, and that's purely because the CBA applied for a $500 million R&D offset, and it wasn't really R&D, so they knocked it back. It's being topped out. If you're probably, if you're a $1 billion company, you probably don't apply. Or, if you're a small company, yep, absolutely. Your turnover is less than 100K. We've done R&D grants for businesses. Their turnover is in the $40,000.
Okay, so there's things really available for different businesses to have a look at the moment.
Yeah. I've noticed that we had the COVID-19 grants that came out in March, and I've noticed some of those that were meant to be ongoing have closed. And then replacing them, I would be saying to a business, have a look at your local council. Yeah. Some local councils have stepped in. We've grants around about the $10,000 mark to help businesses come through to the next stage. So I have noticed that trend, and I'm not saying every council, because even in the in pre this situation, not a lot of councils actually put funding into businesses. But I think
that's about the local council's ability to even do that, run that.
So at the moment with the councils or the ones that they're doing, it's very much about it's looking at technology and getting online at the moment, from what it sounds like.
It does sound like that. Yes.
Chocolate cake and ice cream just turned up.
Say it again.
Chocolate cake and ice cream just turned up.
Oh, okay. You got to show us that. You got to show us.
I was hoping the other day when.
Oh, yeah. For someone who wasn't going to have much for dinner tonight, you're doing really well, Scott. It looks absolutely delicious. I actually realised for my chocolate mousse, which is absolutely yum, I realised that I was like getting everything on the table that I forgot to get a spoon. So I'll be eating that's for sure.
Stick your fingers in.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
Well, I've had the unique ability at this one meal that's lasted a long time of not feeding my clothes, which is generally what happens with me in food. So
you've done well. You've done well. Now, I just want to make sure and check if we have any questions happening at all. Let's go over to Nikki. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Nikki.
Hello. I can hear you.
Thank you, Dal. Do we have any questions or comments at all?
It's a quiet night tonight, my sweet. We haven't got a lot of action happening, but
that's okay. Once everyone watches the replay, they'll wish they actually were on to ask all their questions live.
I think everyone's in bed. It's a cold night.
That's all good. Thank you for that, Nikki. I'm going to put you on hold again. Thank you so much.
No worries at all. Okay.
Oh, she's gone.
She's gone.
Guys, well, I've just put her on hold. Guys, are there anything that you would like to add at all in regards to this? It's been, for me too, it's been a real eye-opener in regards to grants and what you need to do and what you need to look out for as well. And I'm just wondering if there's anything we haven't touched on or anything you'd like to add at all.
I'm just going to repeat what I previously said.
Yep. If
your business ran into a problem and you solved it, it could have been innovation. It could have been R&D.
Cool.
It is worthwhile the conversation. It is worthwhile the conversation to be, 5-minute conversation can then tell you quite definitively, yeah, you develop new knowledge and I can probably get you, I might be able to get you a whole stack of money back for that.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Mm.
So,
and I'd be saying if you're a business and you're into crystal balls, have a looking for your crystal ball.
Business visionaries?
Yeah, vicious visionaries here. Try and predict. Okay, you've got a challenge. You need to get out of this situation. Moving forward, getting people back into jobs. What kind of jobs are going to be necessary or coming up in the future? And trying to put yourself in that position, ready for. Moving forward, we've just had the example just then of funding now going into getting people online. So that's, okay, people are already thinking like that. But what's the bigger picture moving forward? And how can you position yourself ready for when something becomes available? Because that's how grants are going to be used. They're going to be used to kickstart the economy.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about worrying if there's money available, councils just outside of Melbourne Metro are making money available because of rats. They've left the city because they're all leaving the city because there was no food.
I thought I heard they were getting aggro because there was no food. Maybe they're doing both.
They're getting aggro, but they're leaving. What is going to happen next? Is there going to be a whole stack of office space available in the city? Is somebody going to figure out what to do with that? How to utilise that? Will there be grants? Will you be solving another problem? And if you're solving a problem,
so now's the most amazing time to actually look at your business, look at what you're doing, look at the opportunities, because there's a lot of businesses that I speak to that are, we're looking at doing things differently. We're looking at creating things that haven't been around because we can see there's a need for it. So really now's the time to have a look at what we can do to help save our own taxes and to create cash that can help us to move forward and help other people.
Yep, that's perfect, Debbie.
Oh, thank you, Scott. but I love this topic because we're helping people, and we're helping people to help others as well, and helping businesses to help others, which is great.
That's what I do. We help businesses, and then all of a sudden they get it and they go, oh, I can do this. And you're like, yay, now you understand. Federal government wants to support you doing that. And in doing that, you're creating jobs. Yay.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Scott, Pat, did you want to add anything at all? That's all right, guys. I wanted to thank you guys. Big thank you to my friends, Patricia Grosse and Scott Amberley, for a really informative night in so many ways. Now, I know these guys are fantastic, and when they charge, they're actually really looking out for their clients a lot, and they're trying to keep their costs as low as possible. So guys, if you do think that, there may be a chance, or you just want to have a chat to them to see if, with Pat, if there's a grant, with Scott, if you can save some taxes on with your research and development as well, that you may not even realize you're doing it. please, 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 I implore you to speak to those people because of the fact that you're making a difference to help other people. And that's really, really important, especially with everything that we're going through now. So if you give Pat a call or Scott a call, both of them, keeping their prices low, but they will give you a 5% discount on their services. If you mention Business Dining with Deb or you mention my name, they will give you that discount as well. And they're both amazing people and they know their stuff really, really well. So Pat, how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to?
Okay, well, it's simple really. It's Pat at thecommunityentrepreneur.com, or give me a call on 0407 450 818.
Fantastic, thanks Pat. And Scott, how can people reach you?
LinkedIn, Scott Amberley is the easiest way. My mobile number is on it, or 0413 764 671. Give me a call.
Great, fantastic, guys. And again, everyone watching, if you even think that, you know, if you're not sure, I should say, if there's a grant available for you or if you can get tax benefits at all, give these guys a call. They're two of the nicest people I know. They're really knowledgeable of what they do and they love to help other business owners. They really, really do. So give them a buzz and let them help you as well. And I just wanted to big thank you to my friend Nikki. Thank you, my darling. Hold on, I'll get her up actually while I'm doing this. There she is. Hello. Okay, she'll be up in a second. So I wanted to say a big thank you to Nikki, who's been helping from home on Facebook and making sure of what's happening on Facebook, and that even we're transitioning live seamlessly on Facebook as well. So Nikki, really appreciate that.
And I'm here.
Thanks. we can see. And a big thank you to our sponsor tonight, which is Darla Geno's. And Darla Geno's are in Elstonwick in Melbourne, and they're at 254 Glenira Road, Elstonwick. And I've got to tell you, the food has been absolutely delicious tonight. Oh, okay, hold on, let me just, okay, I've muted that. The food is absolutely delicious tonight, and as always, and the pizza's always really, really good, and I'm really picky with my pizza. So I am loving to, so go see them, speak to Ashley. You can even tell Ashley I sent you down there as well, and, you know, taste his pizzas, they're fantastic. So they're on Geno's, dial dash with the dash line, aginos.com.au, or you can phone them on 03 95 300 800. That's 95 300 800. Back to my telephone days. My name's Debbie Small. I'm the founder of Empowerment Point. And I want to thank you for watching Empowerment Point TV, Business Dining with Deb, Business Treats and Takeaways. And if give these guys a call, you might not even realize how they can help you and what they can help you with. And you might be very surprised as well. You can also watch more episodes on my YouTube channel as well, and you can subscribe to the channel to find out if there are new episodes. And if you're watching this now live on my Facebook page, we also, at the moment, we still have the episodes live on the Facebook page that are sitting there as well from past episodes. So this is episode 8. And remember, everyone, in life and in business, you need persistence and a great sense of humor. So keep moving forward. Thanks, guys. See you later and have a wonderful night and keep safe as well. Bye.